So we'll talk now about Zoho Campaign. So it's going to be a pretty fun-filled email marketing next couple hours. All right. So the big thing with email marketing is it's pretty affordable to do. It's actually one of the better channels that you can be using based on just sheer cost. But then also, as I think is really important, is that it's actually really simple. It's as simple as sending an email. I don't even need to ask you. I know that all of us have sent an email. I know that all of us have received emails. I know most of us have received more emails than we'd like to have received in our lives. So we're all pretty familiar with what we're trying to do. I'll try to give you a little more perspective on what I think can qualify as good email marketing, so you can have some better ideas instead of just blasting people with crazy messages that they don't want, which, as we know, is called spam, and we don't want to be doing that, right? When a channel comes online, people will use it successfully, and then they'll start to abuse it. But the reason that we're talking about email marketing in this year, 2017, is because it actually can do a lot of good stuff. The trick is just using it in the way that it needs to be used these days, and actually, getting past that kind of initial mindset of, oh, I've got some emails addresses and I'm going to just punish them with a lot of information. I'm going to make them rue the day they got a Gmail account, right? Right. So that's what we'll kind of be talking about. So the first campaign I want to show you is from this independent bookseller called Powell's Books. They're up in Portland. So this is a standard kind of promotional email they've sent, which is that they sent at the beginning of the year, where they talked to their staff and figured out what were the best books of 2016, and then they put all of those recommendations on a web page. They sent this little email, which looks pretty good on mobile. They give you a button to click, browse titles. They keep the copy pretty short. And then the big dominant image is also a button. It's a link that will take you to their website. So this is driving the traffic that they want. Pretty standard promotional email. They are just trying to drive sales with this email. That is the only thing they're doing. But what's important, and this is again is what I'm going to be harping on for the next 45 minutes, is that it's actually delivering value to me as a customer, right? It's not just sending me an email saying, buy this. It's saying, hey, we've done some work for you. We've figured out, what our staff who's crazy about books, the books they really loved, you're crazy about books because you buy books from us. Maybe, you'll want to see or check some of these things out, right? So that's actually adding value to make a sale rather than punishing me for giving them my email address, right? All right. So this is another newsletter or another campaign that was sent. This is a company called Reformation, which is like a women's clothing company. I can assure you I'm not shopping there. This is something that one of my colleagues shared with me. I thought it was pretty cool. This is actually what the email looks like when you open it. And they were playing on the whole fake news thing. So this was more timely at the time. We don't need to go into the fake news thing. But basically, this is what the email looks like, and they said, fake news, something from Reformation, and this is what the email looks like. It's all white, and there's this, big picture of a model wearing their clothes, and I'm going to go to the next slide, which will kind of mimic the scrolling in the email. They show you another picture that's a different size, and they say this isn't really the country, and you scroll a little further, and it says, we just went to a small park by our office, looks cool, again, another same model wearing the same clothes. And then as you get to the bottom, it says it's not really the Victorian collection. We just made it, and that's more of the clothing. And now you can click on that stuff to go buy it, right? So this is like the Powell's email. It's promotional, but it's timely, right? They're playing on the whole fake news thing. They've created a story. They've used their products and shown them in a way they want to help tell that story. And they've played with different images, making it really visual and really bare, which is kind of a part of their brand ethos kind of thing. And they give you all these different, pictures that you can click on. And also they remind you, hey, we do free worldwide shipping, right? So they're reminding you of the value. They're trying to pull out any, stops that you might throw up. So the Powell's email is a pretty simple example of a promotional email. This one is a little more well thought out and delivering a different kind of value, but it's ultimately just doing the same thing, trying to entertain, trying to engage, and ultimately trying to get clicks that drive you to a website where you're going to want to buy something, right? So, pretty straightforward. This is another email from Reformation that's actually a much more clever example of good email marketing. How many of us have ever received a really boring order confirmation email that says, you bought this for this much money and your address is that, right? Most of us, hopefully, if we're doing online shopping. So this is Reformation's version of this. And as you can see, again, big striking image of a model wearing their clothes with an actual kind of funny message. You did good. You bought something from us. Well done, right? So they're actually trying to create some positivity there. And again, as you scroll, you can get some more information. Now, the thing I did not tell you is that Reformation differentiates themselves by being like eco-friendly, right? So what they actually tell you on this part of their email is how much of the environment you just saved by shopping with them, right? So they tell you that the industry standard for water used on an order is 234 gallons, but on your order it was only 86 gallons. So you saved almost 150 gallons of water. Similarly, CO2, industry standard is 54 pounds. You use 18 pounds for a saving of 36 pounds. So that whole eco-friendly kind of differentiation is something that they're driving home here. They're telling you did good, and then they're making you feel good about the fact that you're, saving the planet. And you can see all of the boring shipping information is stuff they just kind of pushed at the bottom because they know you don't really care about it, right? So they've taken the opportunity to give you the thing that you are expecting, the order confirmation, but to add a lot more value and to try to get you closer and to engage with their brand. And like any good email, they've given you a button to click so that you can move on, so they can track the effectiveness of this email and so forth. And when you click this email, you're taken to this web page of theirs, which tells you a whole bunch more about their brand and asks you to hashtag join the Reformation. So now they're pushing social media on you to try to get you to be a part of their community. And if you notice in the top left-hand corner, oh yes, you can also start shopping again now that you feel good and you've gotten back to our website, right? So this is I think a really good example of like what a brand can do if they're creative and kind of inventive. They can add value to really boring transactional emails that actually build a brand, but then also create another sales opportunity, right? And then also get these people that are clicking on these links to potentially follow them on social media or tweet about this or whatever, which helps, again, build their presence and drive awareness and all that kind of stuff. And this is an email I got from Airbnb, right? So I live in San Francisco. Well, at the time I did, I guess. And it says, you can see I'm a well-versed San Franciscan. Very weird that Airbnb is sending me an email about San Francisco, things that I can do on Valentine's Day weekend in San Francisco, right? That's what this whole email is about. As you would know from Airbnb, they're about going on vacation. But the email they're actually sending here is, hey, go do some cool stuff in the city that you live in, right? And why is that valuable? Why is that helpful? Well, it's encouraging me to go do fun stuff and maybe actually helps me have a better weekend with my girlfriend or something. But then also, if I'm thinking about like booking a trip, I might want to think about Airbnb. After all, they knew my city well enough to have me have a good time. Chances are they're going to, help me when I go to like Budapest or something like that, right? So that's another way of adding value. So that's just like another example. This is what happens when you scroll down. You see some different stuff. So that's pretty much some of the different kind of examples that I wanted to go over with. So as you can see, like you can deliver a lot of value if you really try to be creative and you try to put that forward, and you can create a lot of sales opportunities as well. And aside from being able to create that kind of value and to do it in a simple and really affordable way, you can also do a whole bunch of other stuff using email, right? This is a short list that I just thought of off the top of my head at the time. From drip marketing to event marketing to lead re-engagement, post-sale surveys, customer newsletters, etc. You can do a whole bunch of really cool stuff with email. It is very flexible, hence the yoga person. But the way that we make this happen, and what's really important, is that we don't spam, right? It means that you get permission. If someone gives you their email, maybe through something like Sales IQ, maybe through some form on your website, or maybe by just, getting it in person at an event or something, you actually deliver value, and you promise value, and then you deliver on it, and you don't ever stray from that. So it's important that you don't spam people, that you get permission, and you do your best to give the people what they want, right? And the question, of course, like, what do your customers want? I have no idea what your customers want because I don't do whatever it is that you do. But that's where you got to put on your marketing hat and figure out how can we, give them more value? How can we get them to engage with us? What can we do to try to, build promotions that people are going to want to engage with? How can we make it about the customer rather than making it about us, right? Because if you can do that, people will like you a lot better. With that, we'll kind of jump into the demo. As I said, we're doing the out-of-line design agency. So I was trying to think of like, all right, if I was a design agency, what could I do for a newsletter? I don't work at a design agency. I've never done that. So I was thinking maybe something that like a design agency could do is like a monthly newsletter where they share their expertise, their design expertise with their customers or with people who want to just join this mailing list. Because if you are a customer of a design agency, it's because there's some big project that you don't have the expertise to do. It's sufficiently big or important enough that you're willing to spend thousands of dollars to get help with it. But chances are you have a bunch of other smaller projects that you're working on that require design stuff. So maybe this fake design company can give you some expertise to help you with that stuff and try to provide extra value in your day-to-day business stuff, practices, right? So that's kind of the idea that I had for this demo. And that's kind of how we're gonna move along with it, all right? But we'll now kind of move through and just kind of do a basic demo of building a campaign in Zoho Campaigns. So in Campaigns, we have a few key modules, and those are the ones that we're going to kind of bounce between. Modules are the bar that are on the black bar, and then I kind of call these things tabs. That's just the terminology I use. I think it's helpful to tell you that so you're not confused. And you have a few different ones that are important, like email campaigns. This is where you see the different campaigns that you've sent, and it's also where you can create new ones, and you can create all sorts of advanced campaigns like A/B campaigns where you're able to test a subject line or content or a sender name and see which one is actually performing better and then send that to like the majority of your list. So you're able to kind of have a little sample competition and then push out the winning thing. You can do event campaigns, which has an integration with Eventbrite, survey campaign, which is using Zoho Survey, and that's actually pretty nifty, some of the stuff you can do, so you should hang out for that. E-commerce campaigns if you're using Shopify, and so forth. We have social campaigns, which allow you to post to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and then there's automation, which is where you can create different autoresponders. So just a quick run through of what these are and what they do. So currently there are 5 different autoresponders in Campaigns. We're actually expanding that in the new version. We're going to give you more stuff and actually make the workflow, the way that you can, manage your data a lot more effective. So you have the sign up autoresponder currently, and this allows you to send out a single or a series of emails when someone joins or is added to a mailing list. Okay? So that can be a sync from CRM, it can be through a web form, or it could be just something you add manually or so forth, right? So you can schedule, that series or just send out one and say, hey, thanks for joining, we're really excited to have you, blah, blah, blah. But if you're doing some kind of drip marketing, that's another thing you can use that for. The date field autoresponder allows you to send emails automatically based on a specific date or a specific type of date. So for example, say I am collecting customers' birthdays, right? I know their date of birth. I can use the date field autoresponder, select the date of birth field, and then use that to send out happy birthday emails whenever a customer's birthday comes up, right? So it's a way of kind of engaging them, letting them know that you think about them, that you care about them, and all that. If you wanted to do like the anniversary of the first time you closed a deal, if you're doing more of like B2B sales that are a little less frequent and they're like big accounts that you need to really make sure you're keeping a hold of, that's something that you can do there as well. The closed group autoresponders, they are going to allow you to take a sample of a larger list, put them into this group, and then send them emails and then move them out of the group once they've reached a certain condition. Calendar refers to set days on the calendar. So 4th of July is coming up, and that would be, a big promotional time of the year. Memorial Day is also coming up, and there's always the, Memorial Day sales thing, So you could, do your own version of crazy car commercial promotions with the calendar autoresponder. And then there is the email action autoresponder, which allows you to send follow-up emails based on the action a recipient took in the previous email. So basically, if you've sent an email and they open that, you can send an autoresponder to automatically, follow up with the people who opened the email. Or did they click a link, follow up that they clicked that link, right? So it allows you to be more targeted and make sure you can follow up with the next message appropriately, right? So the next big module is contacts, and we'll come to reports in a little bit. That would kind of be the last big module that's important there. And we start you on contact management, but probably the more important thing is list management. And this is where you can see your different lists. Generally, we recommend that you create big lists for kind of big overarching categories of people you're interacting with, like leads, for example, or contacts, or customers, right? Or repeat customers. Like, these are the kinds of things that you want to put people under. You don't want to have like 50 different lists that are all like these one-off type things. You want to build these bigger lists, and then to actually have more kind of granular control over who you're sending emails to, you want to then create segments, right? So you can do all sorts of different criteria to create these segments. So for example, event attendees, people who are our customers but have also attended our events. Logo customers, this is a design agency, so these are the people who hired us to do their logo design, right? NPS advocates, right? The people who have scored highly on an NPS, Net Promoter Score survey. Or score greater than 50 is referring to the Sales IQ lead scoring module. So there's all sorts of different segments that we can create depending on who we want to target within this kind of overall category. And judging by our reports, judging from the different data that we have, we can create different campaigns to target those people because we know those people are probably going to be the most sales ready, or maybe we want to experiment by sending an email to those people because really we don't know what's going to happen, but it could pay off, right? So it's a mixture of making assumptions, usually being wrong, but learning something in the process. So those are our lists. So we're going to send, as I said, that newsletter from our design firm. So we'll go ahead and create campaign, and we'll say this is the in the loop. And so we'll say this is going to be for May of 2017. And then we'll also have a subject line that says maybe, in the loop, so people know kind of the newsletter's name. And we'll say this is going to be about color. So we're going to tell you all about color in this, right? So the best practice in general for subject lines is 50 characters or less. And you want to be descriptive rather than salesy. And granted, that's kind of, I think, what a lot of data has shown, but it's always good to try new things and experiment with stuff when you can. One of the things you can also do to increase your open rate is by personalizing the subject line. And you can do that by using merge tags. So a merge tag is this thing I'm messing with. It's just a little bit of code that you insert in the subject line. So if you have these people's first names, it'll automatically add their first name. So it goes to Susan, hey, what's up, Susan? Or it goes to John, hey, what's up, John? Right? It'll automatically fill in that information. You just want to make sure you have that data if you're going to use those merge tags. But if you don't, you can see that the things that it'll default to, if there is no name, is something like customer. And that's a really creepy email to send to people. Like, hey, customer, right? Like, it's like that's the robots trying to get in there. And so don't be a weird failed robot thing. I don't know. So it's good to be aware of that. Make sure if you're using merge tags that you actually have the data that the merge tag is supposed to supply. Otherwise, it looks kind of weird. And that's really where the whole, Wizard of Oz relationship building curtain is pulled down, because it's like, well, it's just a system that's just generating this different stuff and sending it, and that kind of makes people feel weird. Somehow we all know that the New York Times does not know our name, but it kind of feels good that they do. But it'd be very weird all of a sudden if they, their system clearly just stopped working and we felt kind of betrayed by all that. So it's important that we kind of stay to the matrix that we are living in. So we'll go ahead and create content, and there's a few different types of ways we can do this. We can use templates that we have already designed for you. You can import or upload templates from your local machine. You can code them in an HTML editor if you have that ability, or you can import them from the cloud. So I will go ahead and say, let's go ahead and use a regular template here. And we have a few different options. There's kind of these gray wireframe things that help you just structure it. There's the design templates that have all sorts of different crazy designs for all sorts of different types of years. And then there's the smart mobile-friendly templates, which are really geared and optimized for mobile devices. So they're much smaller and they just look better for the mobile. The basic and design templates are screen responsive, so they'll automatically change depending on the size of the screen that opens them. And that'll be something that's just kind of built in there. So you can do that. I'm going to actually go to the library though and use an email that I've already made. It's because I'm not, and this is for a different campaign that this fictional business sent. But the reason I'm going to use it is just because it has like a very basic few things that I just want to keep, and I want to save some time for the demo, but also I would do this in real life, right? If you're sending emails, you might want to try to make them look similar or have a similar look and feel so people don't keep feeling blindsided by what you're sending them. So we'll keep our little banner there, the in the loop by out of line. We'll go ahead and, just delete all this text, but we'll keep this window because we want the font to be the same and stuff. So, we'll say, the color issue, or, rather like color is an important part of design, yada, yada, yada. I'm not a designer. And we can go ahead and just delete this button. We can add an image. And I've kind of cheated and pre-loaded a little color wheel thingy there. And then a little heading. And we can then say the color issue, so there's some consistency between our subject line and the content, right? So this is obviously like super basic, and obviously we're not making a real newsletter here because I don't get paid to do that exactly. But you can see, it's not too hard to put these things together, and you can actually use templates that are already working to help, jumpstart your workflow and make sure that you're preserving the kind of brand consistency that you're actually trying to build, right? You can add buttons and all sorts of other stuff. As I mentioned, you have all the merge tags. You can use the merge tags in the actual campaign builder area, so that way you can use customer data in an effective way. So we kind of already saw how that works. So I'm going to just move on. We'll hit save and close. And we're saving, and so now we'll go ahead and pick a theme. Themes are just a way of formatting your header and your footer. If you want to make sure you always have a logo in your header or a certain way that you are representing your physical address and your unsubscribe button, two things that are, I think, mandatory by law, or at least the unsubscribe button for sure is. These are ways of doing it. If you already have unsubscribe links in your email and you already have like the address and all that stuff, you don't have to worry about the theme. You can kind of just opt for like not having a theme and move on. You'll then select your recipients. So obviously we have all these leads, we have these customers, and so we'd make sure that we're sending it to the people that have subscribed to our newsletter. And that could be a lead, that could be someone that's never going to do business with us, that's someone who may do business with us, whatever. But the key thing is that this is an asset that we own, and it's the thing that we want to build and develop, right? If someone wants to sign up for a monthly design newsletter, we want them to Google that and find this thing and join that list, and we want to grow this list super big, right? And this is one of those things that's actually really important because there's really kind of two different types of assets. There's more technical businessy terms for this, but basically you have rented assets and then the ones that you actually own yourselves, right? So when you put up a billboard or you do an ad on Facebook or whatever, you're renting space that someone else owns, right? You're not actually developing anything there. But with something like a website or an email newsletter, this is an asset that you actually own, that you can, build. It's yours. No one's taking it from you. Right? It's essentially something that the cost can't just jump up on some random day, right? So it's important to build those kinds of things and to think about in your marketing strategy, where are we putting all of our money and resources and time? Because if it's on something like Facebook or, God forbid, something like Snapchat, that could all go away very quickly, right? Or they can change the rules in such a way that you don't want to do it anymore, and now you're kind of screwed. All your expertise is lost. So it's important to diversify and make sure there's things that you're building that you own, right? So I think that's definitely something worth noting there. And then we move on to this final screen where we're going to send the email. You won't actually see this screen right up front. What you'll see first is something a little similar with a little green button asking you to send your campaign in for review. Basically, we just do a quick check to make sure there is an unsubscribe link, send it back. Takes a couple minutes at most. It's pretty quick. And then after that, you'll get this screen where you can either send your email immediately or schedule it. And you can schedule it by date and time. If you have time zone information for your recipient, you can use that as well. So for example, I want everyone to receive this email at 10 a.m. no matter where they are. You'd have that ability. You can add the campaign as an event in your Microsoft calendar if you're using one of those. And then you also have this ability to test your emails. And this is something I highly recommend doing. Anytime I've ever made a campaign, I've probably done at least a dozen test emails because I just want to make sure it looks the way that I want it to. And when you do this, you just put in your own email address or maybe a kind of a dummy email address that you use, and you can actually check what it looks like on the web or on your mobile phone. You might want to have like a Gmail one or an Outlook one or a Zoho Mail one or whatever, and try it on a few different things to make sure you know kind of what people are going to see, make sure everything's good before you send. And that's an option you have earlier in the process as well. But you have these different reports that help you understand what's going on with the emails that you're sending, which is really why you're wanting to use something like an email campaign product, whether it's like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Zoho Campaigns or whatever, is because it's going to make it easy to send your emails in bulk, which is actually a little more of a technical, specialized thing, and make sure you can actually deliver it to all of the different people that you're trying to send your emails to, because something like Gmail is just not really set up to send 1,000 emails at a time. I don't recommend you try that. And more importantly, you get some data back so you can figure out what's working and what is not working. So this is a campaign that was sent, and we can see 16 emails were sent. All of them were delivered. There were no bounces. We can see the open rate, the click rate, the click-through rate. We can see what time of day most of the opens were happening. We can see kind of generally where the location was. This was sent to Mexico, or I guess I was in Mexico when I did this. So that's what happened there. And then you get some other details about the campaign. On the right, you can look at recipient activity. So, for example, we can see all the different recipients. We can see in this tab who opened them. And what do you know? Trevor Backman with my Gmail address actually opened this 4 times. And when you hover over the little clock, it's hard to see, I know, you can actually see the date and time that the opens occurred, right? And depending on, what you're seeing here and the ideas that you have and what kind of follow-ups you'd want to do, you could then just choose to create another campaign with just these 11 people who opened this email. You could do some kind of mass update if you want to update some field or move them into a new category or something like that. So you have a lot of different options there. You can see the clicks, who clicked what, how many times did they click, and so forth, and kind of move on from there, right? So that's essentially Zoho Campaign. So we'll go to contact. So the big thing that we have to touch on, and again, this could be its own session. I actually do these webinars for campaigns. So if you're interested in how to sync data and stuff, you can go online and watch the webinar. So syncing things is really easy. You see these are the leads and the customers. Integrating with CRM and campaigns is super simple. You just select CRM, you type the email of the administrator of your account, and then you get a ZSC key by clicking this little gray link. What's a ZSC key? Don't worry about it. You just go get one, and then you paste it here, and then you hit save, and that's it. And now the things are integrated, right? So when we talk about integration, but say you have like two pieces of land and there's some gap that's preventing you from bridging it, so you build that bridge, right? When you integrate two applications, that's what we're talking about. You're building a bridge between those applications, between those databases, and it allows you now to pick up data and bring it across the bridge and put it in a new place. So the fields that we use, for example, an email field in CRM, it basically says this is the email. This is the email data in the CRM record in that database that's attached to this person. Well, if we need that email in campaigns, we then bring it across the drawbridge and put it in the email field in campaigns, which helps us keep those records in sync. So now when one of those changes, it'll update in the next place, right? So that's the kind of little visual metaphor that I think is helpful. And as far as moving data across, which data we want to move across, how often do we want to do it, and where do we want to put it once we get it to the next place, that's all stuff that you're going to configure in your sync, okay? And really the thing that's great about what we're able to do with Zoho CRM and Zoho Campaigns, the reason really why we talk so much about using Zoho for all these different things is because the integrations that we can do are pretty nifty. So we can, for example, look at contacts, I believe, and this is a view that I have that you can see from up here. So a view in CRM is basically just a way of viewing the records that are in the system, okay? So I can do a very basic kind of view, which just says, show me all of the contacts, right? And show me some key information when I'm looking at all of the contacts. But then I can also say, show me my contacts. Show me the contacts that I own, that I'm responsible for, that I need to look at. So that's a view that we can move between. So we also have the ability to create custom views because we might want to see some particular data. And what I did here is created a view that basically shows, which are the contacts that actually clicked one of the campaigns that we sent them, okay? And the way that we're doing that is we're taking our campaigns data and passing it back into the CRM. So when I look into this record, this Mario and Cadenza record here, I can see this field, recent campaigns. This is the recent campaigns that this person has been sent, and I can see that they clicked it, and that they opened it, and that the click count was 1 time. So this campaign called Consent Campaign, was sent to them, they opened it once, they clicked it once. That's data that we have in campaigns that we passed back to the CRM. So that's really what you're able to achieve. And then when you have a view, you want to say, okay, well, show me all the clicked people, and then I can, easily follow up with them, right? And I could make that criteria more specific. So if I'm sending, informational emails after I get their email address to nurture them along and make them sales ready, I say, all right, I only want to talk to the people first that are opening my email, that have clicked my email. When my marketer or my email marketing campaign went out, I want to talk to the engaged people from there. And I want to start with them so I can, basically sell more efficiently, right? If there's people to talk to, I want to strike when the iron's hot, and I want to talk to those people, right? Does that all make sense? So thank you.